So that was Fate of the Furious. Can we try to guess the sequel names?
It's time to hack the movies with Tony and Newt.
Hello, Newt.
It's about family.
Right off the bat, huh? Right off the bat, yes. So yeah, Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Real popular franchise. The 9th one's coming out.
Yeah.
And it's opening first in the country
Republic of China.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I wish I lived in the
Republic of China.
so I could go see it.
Yeah, I'm sure the people in the
Republic of China
are excited to get the first look at Fast and Furious 9. Now, what is your experience with the Fast and the Furious?
So I had no idea what was going on here. I have seen the first one came out the summer before college.
Yes.
The second one I saw on a date.
It's similar to me, well, except for the college thing. I saw the first one. I think it came out when I was in 6th grade, probably.
Yeah, 2001.
Yes, me and my friends, we all went to Fast and the Furious. I wore a red New York Yankees cap backwards because I wanted to look like Fred Durst, because that was the style at the time. And yeah,
I put an onion on my belt, as was the style at the time. We didn't have yellow onions because of the war.
And we saw the Fast and the Furious, and then we ate at Applebee's, and then my dad picked me up.
You should have eaten at Olive Garden, because when you're there, you're family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think they went heavy on the family stuff yet. I'm not sure when the family stuff really plays into this.
The first movie was Point Break with race cars.
Yes, it is straight up a ripoff of Point Break.
Yeah.
Just with race cars instead of surfing.
But as the series went on, it broke a lot of ground, like a lot of, the first movie ever to be directed by a can of Red Bull, I believe.
So yeah, a few years ago on this channel, it's still up, I reviewed Hobbs and Shaw. He shows up and he's like, hey, Rock, you gotta go to England and get this girl before the virus gets out. And then the Rock's all like, okay, I'll do it. Also, family. And then another guy goes to Jason Statham and he's like, hey, your sister is actually a pretty lady spy girl, and she's a traitor. You got to bring her in. He's like, oi, that's my sister, Gov. Ain't no way she a bad guy. Crikey. That's Australian. Anyway. And the whole joke of the review is I've only seen the first two, and I don't remember anything from the second. I remember the car races looked awful. They were super digital. The effects were garbage, and I remember being like, why is John Singleton directing this? This seems beneath him.
Were they not stealing DVD players in that one?
Okay, so yeah. So I saw Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah. Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. And I thought it'd be funny. I rewatched the first one right before I went in. And I make this clear in the video, but I'll just reiterate it here because the show is way more popular. In the first movie, the threat is that these drag racers have a side gig where they're stealing from trucks on the highway.
We call it, because I'm a young hip person, we call it a side hustle.
Side hustle, okay. Their side hustle is robbing truck drivers on the highways. And the threat was that if they continue, truck drivers will start to arm themselves and there will be a lot of gun violence on the highways. So someone had to go into the street racing underground and figure out who was robbing all the trucks and stop it.
So they send Paul Walker.
So that was the threat. Truck drivers with guns.
Yeah.
So then I saw Hobbs and Shaw. And now, in this universe, there is a Spectre-type secret society of bad guys who put nanorobots in Idris Elba, which turned him into a genetic Superman. And
that will conquer the world.
Yes, and The Rock and Jason Statham, who I think was a bad guy but then was a good guy, have to team up with a nuclear arms dealer and his cyber hacker sister. And then they also team up with a Samoan chop shop who makes like super advanced cars. And they go to Hawaii and they fight helicopters. And then the evil people turn off Idris Elba's brain. And something about a virus. So a lot happened between the first film and the ninth. Well, the new one's the ninth film. The spin-off, which is the ninth film.
Yeah. And where did they film the new one?
I don't think they filmed it. I think it's just releasing there. Yeah.
Where is it? The new one releasing?
Well, we have to wait in America, but it is coming out in the
Republic of China.
That's where it was.
Yeah. So I was very confused in Hobbs and Shaw.
I was confused by this.
Well, no, that's why I said, you know what? I think I would like Hobbs and Shaw if I was caught up.
Yeah.
But I don't have time to watch all 8 of them. So we watched Fast 8. That way I'll know what happened in Hobbs and Shaw and we'll be prepared for Fast 9.
Fate 8 and the Furious is
Yeah.
a great title, though.
Yes.
Very good
So
title.
we watched Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah.
A Fate of the Furious. Keep in mind, we have not seen 3 through 7.
I kept asking you questions, and
And I kept saying I didn't see them, Newt. I don't know. So I know certain things because I have friends who are fans of these.
Okay.
And that bachelor party weekend I went to, my future brother-in-law's friend filled me in on the deep lore, but I forgot all of it.
yeah, because you told me like 3 takes place after
Apparently,
6.
a character dies in 3, but then he's in 4 and 5, so technically 6 is when he dies or something?
The only part of 3 that I ever saw was when they had to add Vin Diesel in at the end, and he looks
Yeah.
like he's like, remember like in a 60s movie when someone's driving and they like project the background?
Yeah.
I was in the projection booth and I was like, what the fuck is happening
Yeah.
here? But after part 3, they were going to start going direct to, well, I was going to say direct to video.
I think part 4 is where they brought back the original director and like they got everyone back for
Yeah.
it. And I think that generated enough excitement.
Is that when it became about family?
Probably.
Yeah.
And then I hear people say 5 is when it gets good, but I think they went back to more practical car stunts. Or at least the effects got better. The effects in this were way better than 2.
Yeah.
Because I remember 2 was just like, I cringed.
Was 2 the one where like they put like a badger on a guy's stomach and then they heat it up in a bucket and it'll eat through the guy?
I don't
I remember
know.
that.
I don't know. You know what? After what we just watched, I believe that that's something that happened.
Yeah.
So I used to shit on the series. But having watched this, I'm like, you know what?
You can't, and that's the
I'm
whole thing.
older now. I'm less cynical. I can see submarines breaking through the ice to shoot sports cars.
I joke that we should take a drink every time they say family, but
We
I
would have
was-
been dead.
I was scared I would my fucking liver would die.
Yeah.
And then I stopped asking questions and
Yeah.
I just submitted.
I will say, I now understand more stuff that happened in
Yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw. Not all of it. I still don't understand who Shaw is. I think he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
But he seems like a wacky, funny guy. And I'm like, huh.
He likes kids.
I wonder what he did in the other movies
he
that
likes-
was...
He likes murdering for the enjoyment of babies.
Yes, yes. And his brother is Gaston,
His brother is Gaston.
who was not in Hobbs and Shaw. It
And
was all
yeah,
about
the-
his sister.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, Helen Mirren's in this movie? And
Yeah.
wait, what's the guy who was, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy, he's also in Shazam, he was in Amistad, Hanslu.
Oh, yeah,
Digimon
Digimon Hanzu.
They showed his picture.
They show a picture of him. I guess that was from the previous film. You know what? Guys, let us know what you want us to do.
And we'll watch them.
No, let us know. Let us know. Do you want us to review the series backwards? Or do you want us to do a commentary track for all of them? Because we now own the first 8 Fast and the Furious movies. Let us know what you would prefer. I know they're going to say both.
Yeah.
But let's see which one wins. Yeah, so Fast 8.
Begins in...
I'm sorry, Fate of the Furious.
Fate of the Furious. That's good wordplay right there. Don't
Yeah.
spoil that. It begins in Cuba.
Right.
What's his name?
John Toretto.
No, Dominic Toretto.
Dom Toretto.
Yeah.
Dom Toretto. I got John Totoro. Mixed with John, now I'm picturing John Totoro on.
And I wanted to call him Tin Diesel for a minute, and I'm like, wait, that's not his name. So
Yeah.
him, Tin Diesel, and the girl from Resident Evil,
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez. I was gonna say girl.
By the way, I will not be referring to their character names
No.
because I only know 3 of them.
No, yeah.
And honestly, if the Rock spinoff wasn't called Hobbs and Shaw, I wouldn't know their names are Hobbs and Shaw.
I kept calling him I was like, wait, isn't that the character from G.I. Joe? I couldn't remember where.
Roadblock,
It was
maybe?
Roadblock,
I don't
yeah.
know.
So they're in Cuba, and it's everyone in Cuba is just like sexy, and they're all just hanging out. And his cousin, who sort of looks like the dude from the first season, like Entourage in like the beginning, with the hair and stuff like that. He made a bet with a guy, and he owes the guy money.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, he's dressed like Bruno Mars, but he's like big, and he's like, and Dominic Toretto is like, you know, you can never go back on a bet. That's not family.
Yeah.
So he says that he's gonna race that guy.
Yes.
But his cousin has the slowest car in Cuba.
My car is the slowest car on the island.
But don't worry, they got Cuban Nas.
Which I asked you what that was.
It's Nas, but it's Cuban.
Oh, the rapper Nas?
Nitrous oxide.
Oh, that's also an energy drink too, isn't
It's
it?
also the bad guy in Crash Bandicoot Team Racing.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway.
Yeah. So Vin Diesel is like ripping this dude's car apart with his
Yeah.
bare hands, and then he's gonna race it.
And like Michelle Rodriguez, who, by the way, we learned in this film that apparently she died at one point, but then she came back to life.
Yeah.
We don't know the specifics because we didn't watch those movies.
So many questions.
But they're on their honeymoon. That's
They're
the
on
thing
their
that we
honeymoon.
know.
And they also said that I could never go to Cuba because I don't think I would look good in white pants.
But yeah, she's all like, "You're gonna blow up. That's too much Nas. You're gonna be incinerated." He's like, "It only has to go a few miles or something like that."
Because they live their life a quarter mile at a time.
I live my life a quarter pounder at a time.
That's right, 'cause we're fat.
So they're about to drive. They're about to race, which I was excited to see.
And
racing.
everyone apparently who lives in Cuba
They
is
have
just
nothing
there
to
that
do.
day. They have nothing else to do that day.
And this part cracked me up because the girl goes to do the racing. I like racing.
Yeah.
I don't follow like NASCAR or anything, but my short film, Getting on the Slide, was
Yeah.
about racing Dodge Challengers versus Razor scooters. You know, I really had no reason to criticize these movies, realizing I made that piece of shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, the girl does the thing, and her ass is just hanging out
Yeah.
of her skirt.
And this-
Big fan, by the way.
No, me too.
Nothing wrong with it. But the funny thing is, and this reminded me when I watched the first one, in the first Fast and the Furious, they do an F-slur like less than 10 minutes
Oh,
in.
yeah.
And then in this one, you got girls like ass hanging out. There is a children's cartoon series currently on Netflix.
Netflix has a children's cartoon
They
series.
did one for
about
Jurassic
this.
Park,
Yeah,
too. The
yeah.
Jurassic World one's pretty good. But I'm looking at them like 4 seasons, by the way. I'm like, there's 4 seasons of this. And it's like, wow, are the kids watching these movies? Like,
Yeah, they
I
might
mean,
be.
as a kid, I would be allowed to watch the
If
movie.
I watched these movies as a kid, I mean, not that one word they use, I don't like that, but like, you know, shapely Latino woman, I'm perfectly fine with that.
And it reminds me of like the 80s and 90s where you could make a rated R movie and then just have a kids cartoon
Yeah,
accompany. I mean,
exactly.
these are PG-13, but
RoboCop the cartoon and
yeah.
Rambo the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we circled back to that era.
So now they're racing, and
Hold on, Newt. I have to take a sip of my Coca-Cola.
oh yeah, use that cap. We can use it to hook up Nas.
Yep. Continue.
Yeah, so they're racing, and his cousin and the girl from Girl Fight, Michelle Rodriguez, they have to go and block off the road ahead of them because they're driving. And then muscular Bruno Mars and his guy are also doing the same thing, but they're like creating booby traps for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're getting towards the finish line, and again, everyone in Cuba is just there to watch.
They were all off that day.
Everyone's
They all had
everyone's off that day. It was Cuba Day. It was race day. So they're all there, and then he hits the Nas, and the car like catches on fire.
Yes.
So he turns it backwards.
So the fire will go that way. Makes perfect sense, dude.
So he's driving backwards over the finish line. But then, like, he realizes that the car won't stop, so he jumps out of it and rolls, and the car goes up in the air
Yeah.
and down into the ocean.
So it starts off as a bad digital effect, and
Yeah.
then it's a cool practical effect. And then it's like
But then
they go
he's
back and forth.
surrounded by Cuban children that come out of nowhere. It reminds me of the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where Sallah sends all of his kids to protect Indiana Jones
Yeah.
and the thing, Uncle Indy, come home.
And I love when the guy's like, all right, you won my car. And he's like, that's okay. You can keep your car. I just want your respect.
Yeah, and then I'm like, well, you fucked up your cousin's only way of making a living. And
Yeah.
he's like, never mind, you can have my Impala. And
Yeah.
he's like excited. And then the entire island in unity, because the Cuban people, it's about family, are all excited that this dude got an Impala.
Yes. Yes. It's pretty great.
When I bought my car, the guy who I bought it for after I signed took a phone call, never said goodbye to me, never shook my hand.
Yeah.
So if I get really good at wearing white pants, we're going to Cuba.
I would love to go to Cuba. We're not allowed to go to Cuba. Don't you have to like go through somewhere else to go to Cuba?
But we know how famous you are.
Yeah, but you know, no one came to meet me in my Myrtle Beach hangout at the Hollywood Wax Museum.
Yeah, well, they didn't want to ruin it for you. They
We're
knew
gonna
that-
circle back to the Hollywood Wax Museum
Yeah.
toward the end. So I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna be there. Hollywood Wax Museum in South Carolina. And then look, I love our fans. But learn to read. Because a couple people were like, I thought it said Southern California. I'm like, no. And then one guy messaged me afterwards. He's like, hey, I live near there. Would it be cool? Would it be weird if I hung out? And I'm like, I was expecting people to hang out. I left.
Yeah.
So apparently we are not big in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I thought we'd be bigger.
It would have been great though if the show stopped for a while and it's because some fans did meet up with you and you wound up in a well in the guy's basement, like, you know.
I know at least one guy likes me in the Florida Keys because he came to the Kmart meetup I had last year. I bought him a case of beer.
It hacks the movies or it gets the hose again. So Vin Diesel, he won the respect and gave his cousin a car, and then he's walking back, and then who's he seeing?
Well, no. First he's hanging out with Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
and she's like, "I want to have a baby one day," and he's like, "Okay, we'll have."
It's hard to like. I like him in Pitch Black. I like him as Groot. I like him as the Iron Giant. But next to like people like The Rock, he's like a charisma black hole. Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking to Michelle Rodriguez. They're talking about how they should have a kid and start their own family. And then the next day, he's like, oh, there's a white lady.
With dreadlocks.
Yes, with dreadlocks, who's having trouble with her car. And then she's like, hey, guess what? I'm Charlize Theron, and I'm the bad guy in this movie. And look who I have on here. And he's like, oh my God. And we don't know what it is yet.
No, we don't know.
And then she's like, I'm going to hire you, and you're going to betray your family. And I was like, how is that possible? He loves family.
That's pretty much like his most like distinct characteristic.
That's what I think of. So we cut to The Rock.
The Rock
who is a secret agent. And I knew that from Hobbs and Shaw, that he was a secret agent.
Yeah.
But he is also a soccer coach.
Yes.
And he gets his girls to do a haka before.
Yeah, and it's really good, though, because he's like, all the little girls are doing a haka, and then, like, but they're doing it to, like, 6-year-old white suburban girls who are terrified of it, you know?
One girl, like, leaves. I do like, the secret agent guy is trying to brief him on like, oh, there's this EMP that needs to be taken from this base in Germany. And he's like, wow, there's a lot of soccer moms there. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, there's more moms than kids there. And he's like,
and he just cut to all these like suburban women who are all like trying to look good for The Rock.
Yeah. So he's trying to recruit him. But he's like, I got to win this game so my girls can be happy and I don't have to take them to Tay-Tay concerts. And, he's
and
like,
I didn't know what Tay-Tay meant until he said it.
Yeah,
which is weird because I did a viral video once that was a parody of a Taylor Swift song.
I never heard of Tay-Tay. I've heard Tay Swift, but I've never heard Tay-Tay.
Tadoff Switler.
People thought she was a white supremacist for a
while. Really?
Well,
there you go.
In 2016, she said she had a good year. And everyone was like, 2016 was terrible. I know who she voted for. And it's like, or it could be she's a multimillionaire.
Yeah,
and everyone loves her.
Yeah.
She probably had every year for her is probably a good year. Newt, if I had multi-million dollars and everyone loved me more than they do now, more than you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, you know what? 2020 was a pretty great year. And everyone would be like, everyone died. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty great year.
I light my cigar with the fires of the earth and I'm like, I don't know, I'm still having a good time.
I don't know what you people are complaining about. Okay, so
they go to Germany.
Apparently, all right, so apparently so I know The Rock was like a cop or agent who was trying to take down the Fast and Furious crew, but then they became best friends. I that's only from seeing the trailers. I don't know I don't know the specifics of how it happened because I did not watch them. So apparently they're all best friends now, and they go on car-related heists all the time.
We love killing Germans. Like
it's all car-related heists. Yeah, they're killing. Maybe they're German terrorists. Because later at the end of we might have missed something. Because at the end of the movie, me and you were like, "Well, this is causing World War III," and then they threw out a line of dialogue.
They're
like, "Oh, okay."
They're separatists, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, then it's fine to take a life then."
Yes, yes. As long as they're not related to the so. There's the German organization that's making an EMP.
Yeah.
That they have to steal. And they're stealing it, and they're being chased by security.
And Ludacris, the rapper, is also a race car driver who's also a computer hacker.
Probably.
And he releases a big giant wrecking ball that they somehow had time to paint a smiley face on.
Right.
And it just kills the fuck out of dudes.
There's no way anyone survived that. There's no way.
Yeah. And then Dominic Toretto cuts off The Rock.
Yes.
And like his car flips over, and they said if you get caught, like we can't help you. and he's pinned by like what looked like a roll bar, which later we find like he's essentially a superhero.
Which is confusing because in Hobbs and Shaw, they made it clear that he did not have nano-enhancing cyber robots in him. So he's just ridiculously strong.
So his car is flipped upside down, and Vin Diesel gets out of the car, and he's like, I'm going to steal that EMP. And then Plymouth Rock is like, you better fucking not. But he does it anyway. And then Plymouth Rock gets arrested and gets put in like a super jail where like bad guys go.
Yes. And what's it called? Kurt Russell and Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, who was called Mr. Nobody.
Which I said to you, the movie Nobody that came out with Bob Odenkirk was originally called Mr. Nobody. And I asked you, I was like, did they change it because of this movie? And you said, I don't fucking care.
I don't know.
I don't care.
I don't know about Bob Odenkirk.
How dare you? You said, how dare you talk to me when we're not on camera? Do you know how famous I am? I can have you fired.
I threw coffee in your face. And we had to wait a week to record the review until your face healed. It was a whole thing. We watched this in increments, by the way. We started watching it last week, and then we didn't have time to finish it. And then we watched a little bit of it today, and then Johanna came down on her lunch break.
Hold on, that's my phone.
Oh, is someone calling you?
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Hello?
Is this Tony's co-host? I don't know your name because you're not as famous as him.
I get that a lot. Yeah, I'm Tony's co-host, unfortunately.
All right, so yeah, this is John from John Breaks Bad News. What's your name?
My name is Newt.
Newt? That's a fucked up name, man.
Like the cookie?
What?
Like Fig Newton?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, Fig. So Tony wanted me to break some bad news to you, bud. You're not as famous as him. You're not as famous as Tony from Hack the Movies, who is very famous and more famous than you. And you owe Tony everything, and you should thank him every day. And also,
do they get paid for this?
Your penis is very small.
Oh my God!
Did they make much money on their site? Hack the Movies?
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not gonna ask.
Well, that I appreciate you breaking this bad news to me. I've got to rethink a lot of things in my life now.
Yeah, Tony keeps all the money.
Yeah, I hope Tony never pays you.
He doesn't. He's paying me an exposure. I might die of it in the winter.
All right. You have a good one, bud.
Wow. I'm glad he delivered that message to you from me.
But you know what? I'm going to try to be better in the future.
Yes. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that myself. I didn't know how to break it to you.
That's
So
okay.
I hired John.
I wish, you would have done that instead of throwing coffee on my face, but
Well,
here we are.
So, yeah, The Rock gets sent into the prison. Mr. Nobody is like, I'll break you out. He's like, nope, I'm going to get out on my own.
But then, like, Clint Eastwood's son makes fun of him, and then, like, he's shackled, and he just breaks it like he's a fucking My Pet Monster.
It's like Man of Steel where Superman just breaks the things.
And
like,
I'm just like, so he's like a super robot man, right?
Yes, yes. And then that's when we realize this movie is what we call a backdoor pilot. Because he's seated, his cell is right across from Shaw's, who was the bad guy, I believe.
Backdoor Pilot would be an awesome porn movie.
Yeah, so a backdoor pilot, if you guys don't know, it's a thing in like a TV series.
Yeah.
Married with Children was famous for them. I finally finished the last backdoor pilot of Married with Children. They're the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is it's been a long-running series. Has an episode that's meant as a pilot for a later
The
series.
Office tried to do it with that Schrute Farm episode.
Yeah, the Schrute Farm episode of The Office. If you wondered why that sucked, it's because that was originally that didn't even start as a backdoor pilot. You know what? That one doesn't even count as a backdoor pilot. That was just a failed pilot that they worked into a regular episode. I'm thinking of one of the things that got me to stop watching Californication, because that show got awful. The one season was mostly a backdoor pilot for Maggie Grace's character.
Okay.
Most of the season was about her character because they wanted her to have her own series, and no one gave a shit about her character.
I've never seen that show.
They canceled the series, and it's like, wow, we wasted most of the season on this character we'll never see again. This sucked. Another famous one, Star Trek Season 2, and I bring this up on Mike Mateo a lot. The very last episode of Season 2 is about like a time traveler.
Yeah.
And Terry Garr is in it.
Okay.
But it's Captain Kirk and Spock go back in time, and they're disguised, and they're watching the exploits of another time traveler.
That's right.
and that was meant to be a
Yeah,
time travel
yep.
thing. So I hate backdoor violence. And this is what this movie is.
Yeah.
Because they were clearly trying to build them up as a team, because there's so many scenes of just The Rock and Jason Statham, and it's like they were testing the waters for Hobbs and Shaw, and I guess it worked out, so.
So Jason Statham is there, and their prison cells are directly across from each other, and the Rock is just like punching concrete.
Yes.
And Jason Statham's like, if we got into a fist fight, I'd get you. And then the Rock, who was pinned down by a roll bar in a car, is able to just pull a sink off the wall that's made of concrete and lift it. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And he's just like,
It's not that hard, Newt.
apparently not.
I could do it right now.
Yeah. Well, you're very buff. You're much more buff than me.
So nobody breaks them out.
Yeah.
He opens up their cells, and they like start fighting.
But a rap song kicks in.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, like, was that just for the audience, or could we hear it? Or could they hear it too? Because it was so synced up.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if like the prisoners had been like, it's like a dance routine, like they've been working on it all this time. So there's all this fighting stuff, and then they get out, and it turned out that Kurt Russell.
Wait, before that.
Yeah.
They grab a guard's taser. And they tase like a panel, which unleashes
Blocks everyone.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a design flaw. What?
Yeah.
Someone should fix that.
Because I was like, maybe Mr. Nobody should have known that, because clearly a lot of prison guards were killed in this event.
Yeah, the prison guards have rubber bullets.
Because they shoot him with rubber bullets at point
But
blank.
the bad guys have knives. Because
Yeah.
remember, one of them pulls a knife on The Rock, and The Rock stabs
him, yeah.
Which I guess kills him. That's a little problematic.
Yeah. And then
anyway.
Mr. Nobody's like, oh my god, I was just trying to get 2 of them, but now all these widows we've created today.
He's like, oh, it took longer than I expected.
And it's like, yeah, sorry, there was a prison riot in there, dude.
And I'm actually shocked that, wait, did he get shot with rubber bullets? No, he didn't. Never mind.
No, Jason Statham didn't.
No, I was going to say, the rundown, I thought The Rock got shot with rubber bullets, but that was Sean William Scott. That
Oh,
shot.
okay. Yeah, but he gets shot at point blank, and he's like,
Rubber bullets. Big mistake.
again, like, he's clearly a superhuman robot. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So we find out everyone else was arrested. The Fast and Furious crew.
Yeah.
Familia.
Me familia.
And they're brought in handcuffs, and Kurt Russell's like, what are you doing, Scott Eastwood? Let him out. And then Michelle Rodriguez also does things. She's like, I could have broken out any time. I'm like, why are you all even using handcuffs? But then he's like, you guys have to track down Charlize Theron. We think she's working with Vin Diesel. And they're like, why would he betray us for her? And he's like, hey, I got another thing. You got to work with the previous bad guy. And I'm like, oh, this is like X-Men when they got to team up with Magneto.
Like in X-Men 2, I'm like, I always like X-Men comics when they have to team up with the bad guys.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's like, well, we have a mutual goal, and we know we're not going to get along after this.
But I also, like, when did these people become super hackers? Like,
I don't know when they became super hackers.
Because I assume, like, you know, I don't personally know any hackers.
Yeah.
But they don't look like the hot British African girl in this. I was
Right.
going to call her African American, but I was like, oh, wait, she knew she's British. Like, you ever see the Venture Brothers? He's like, they have like a Blade character, and they're like, well, do you only kill Blackulas? And he goes, what? And he goes, yeah, African American vampires. He goes, no, some of them are British.
So yeah, they're hacking in, and they use God's Eye, which is basically Cerebro.
Meets OMAC.
It meets OMAC.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, could it be here? Could they be there? Oh, it's sending their signal everywhere. Where are they? Surprise!
It's where you are.
They're right where you are.
So they throw
the
in.
call is coming from inside the house.
Get out of the house. So they send in like Roombas with bombs on them and blow.
I love The Rock picks up one of the bombs and then throws it. So they're all like concussed.
Yeah, they're all concussed. And then fucking Vin Diesel comes in with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
And then to like get the thing, and then she's like, "Why are you doing this?" And then they kiss in front of Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah,
because Charlize Theron wants to really like rub it in.
Yeah.
That she controls him now.
Man, I wish Charlize Theron would rub me in.
So yeah, that's when Michelle Rodriguez is like, I thought you wouldn't turn your back on family. And it's like, well, I just did. Then we go to Charlize Theron's jet.
Yeah.
The biggest jet in the world.
So on her jet, there's a bunch of multiracial hacker people.
Yes.
There's like the Asian guy and
there's the Game of Thrones bearded guy. I don't know who he is in Game of Thrones.
It's a debutante ad of hackers and general bad guys.
Yes.
Yeah, Game of Thrones guy is there, and he takes some things like, why would I do this? And they take him in the back, and in the back of the jet that's through the armory, that's through her shoe room, that's downstairs.
Yeah,
that's
Charlize
upstairs.
Theron's room has like all the guns in glass cases, but then she also has her clothes and her shoes also in glass cases on display.
Doesn't make sense. So they take her in the back, and inside a cell is Chris Hemsworth's wife,
who I was looking up because I was like, what do I know her from? And I saw something that I saw her in, but apparently she was in the 3 previous movies, and I guess it was a love interest for Vin Diesel because Michelle Rodriguez wasn't in them.
Yeah,
or maybe or I don't know. So we find out that they had a child.
They had a baby.
And she kept it from him because she was like, oh, his wife came back to life.
And I said, this is a real daddy dom situation. Just keep holding.
Cancel Newt Wallen. Yeah, so she was like, hey, I found out I was pregnant, but what's-her-face came back, and I didn't want to ruin your honeymoon. I was going to tell you afterwards, you have a baby.
Yeah, whoops.
And he's all like, family! So he's basically doing this because he has a son.
Yeah.
And he wants to save his son. He's like, I'll be back. Here's my necklace. Which comes
Just
back.
totally ignore the blinking red light in my necklace. Okay, bye.
Yes, which is not blinking in these scenes.
No,
It'll flash back to it.
So they're just, so they're like, he does the whole thing. He's like, I gotta do it alone because I had no choice.
Yes.
And it's like, wow.
Because Charlize did the whole thing. It's like, I know what you're thinking. You could take us out, but then how would you get out of the plane? How would you do this? It's like,
Superman.
Yes. So we learned in all these like secret agent stuff, every fish market on Earth is just housing a warehouse full of gadgets and
Every
stuff.
fish market, every tailor shop, every pet store, behind them is a secret government base.
And we get a base. They have little mini tanks, and then just every sports car known to man.
Yeah.
What was it? There was like a Corvette that Tyrese wanted, right? Was it a Corvette?
I don't know anything
Or
about
Lambo?
cars. Probably Lambo.
We don't know cars that well.
Purple Lamborghini.
Which wasn't a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I love movies with cars and car racing and car stunts. I don't actually care about cars themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a car guy, but I enjoy movies where cars are getting destroyed and stuff.
Yeah. Pretty much every Australian movie in the 70s and 80s was like car porn, you know?
Yeah.
So
maybe that's what it is, because I grew up with like Mad Max first, and those cars aren't nice.
No.
They all look like shit, so I don't really care about the quality
But
of
the
the
way
car.
that like they shoot a car in a movie is awesome. Like Death Proof. People don't like that movie, but it's amazing how it was shot. You know? So
so he's like, I want the Corvette or whatever, and like Scott Eastwood is like, could you pick a less conspicuous one? It's bright orange.
And he's like, they'd never see it coming. So they're in New York, and Vin Diesel has to go do a thing, but there's a kill switch in his car, and he steps on it. And I'm like, wait a minute. So they added the little camera so that she can communicate with him in the scenes, but her people didn't notice the engine kill switch.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, they deserve to lose then.
Yeah. Bad planning on their part.
So he's like, I had an engine problem. I'm going to pull off right here.
And she's like, you got 5 minutes to fix it.
And then a bagel car truck drives up and blocks their view. And
totally coincidence.
When we were watching it, though, I was like, wow, what a lucky coincidence on their part.
And then he goes into like a restaurant. Now, I knew this actress was in the series because I saw her in Hobbs and Shaw, but you weren't ready to see Helen Mirren just randomly appear.
I went, Helen Mirren's in this movie? And I was like all confused. I was like, does she know?
No, it was weird. I was looking at the cast for this movie, and like I saw Harrison Ford in the cast. Unless I clicked a different movie. Is Harrison Ford in these movies? He showed up when I was looking at top cast for one of them.
He's such a good actor. He's the Cars. Yeah.
He's one of the pilots.
Yeah, yep.
He's the helicopter that crashes.
Dude just keeps trying to kill himself, but life won't let him leave. Like, he's like the kid in Indiana Jones. He's like, I pray for death, but it never comes.
So yeah, he's having a meeting with Helen Mirren, and they're making some plans or something. And then we find out like Jason Statham, they kind of like rewrote his backstory a little bit.
Yeah, like he's a good guy.
there's something about his, I don't know. We really should have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Because they're really trying to rewrite him to be a good guy for this next
So we're not
spin-off.
watching this one for any other reason other than I had to randomly pick a movie, and I said, let's just watch the 8th Fast and the Furious movie, and they're
It's
like,
the newest one before the new one comes out.
Exactly.
And I already reviewed the other one, so let's do it. So they're trying to rewrite his character, I believe. Because I need to know what he did as the main villain in the previous film that was so bad.
To be
this
the main
movie makes
villain.
you want to think, he's still a rapscallion.
Yeah.
I don't know what his brother did. They keep hinting to his brother Gaston did something evil, and I don't know what it was.
He's also he was in The Hobbit.
Hobbit. Yeah, he was in The Hobbit. He was Dracula Untold.
Yes, he was. Which that movie would have been so much better if it was just Castlevania.
Yeah. So Dom goes back to his car. He avoided suspicion.
Yeah.
And now he needs to steal a nuclear football.
Yes.
Which is the bad guy, the guy with the case that has all the nuclear launch codes.
This scene is pure, unadulterated schlock, and I'm here for it.
So, Newt, there are self-driving cars.
Yes, there are.
I don't know how many are on the roads these days.
Well,
are they street legal yet? Anyway, I know self-driving cars are a thing.
Yeah.
I think they were less of a thing in 2018, 2017 when this came out.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, find every self-driving car and hack into all of them. And apparently every car in New York in this universe is a self-driving car.
On a rare Marvel character Ninja Turtle free day in New York when no one's there to stop all of this.
Yes. So all the cars activate.
Yeah.
And they're all going after this caravan.
And it becomes like a zombie movie.
It really... So the cars in this movie, and I haven't seen World War Z because it looked like shit.
Yeah.
But I saw all the trailers. The self-driving cars in this move like the zombies in World War Z, where they're just like water.
Yeah.
Like they're just constantly coming and they move like a wave. I'm like, what the fuck?
They're driving off of the lots. And,
Yeah. At one point... so they're all chasing it like a wave.
Yeah.
And me and you are like, what the fuck is going on? And then they're like, wow, there's a car garage. They all have self-driving cars.
And they start driving out of the top. And
there's like a waterfall of cars that land on the limousine.
The taxi.
The limo that has a chain gun that comes out the top
the guy
of it.
pops out of the top with a chain gun.
Yeah.
And he's just shooting driverless cars.
Yeah, so they're all like stuck. And then Vin Diesel comes out looking like a Marvel villain. It's the same outfit that Crossbones has. just
except
not
instead of a
painted.
Jaws of life, I said he's the Jaws of death.
Do you know why Crossbones didn't have a skull painted on him?
Why? Oh, China.
Yeah, you're not allowed to show skulls in China. That's why Taskmaster has a weird face. In the new one.
What'd they do with like the Pirates of the Caribbean?
I don't think they played there.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, they might have played in the
Republic of China.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense. They surround Vin Diesel.
Yeah. So Vin Diesel's trying to get away, and like he's trapped.
Yeah.
And then Scott Eastwood fucks up, so he gets away. And then they all have harpoon guns on their
Which
cars.
I called carpoons.
Harpoons. I think 2 had harpoons.
Okay.
I think I remember of someone shooting like harpoons or something onto cars in 2. But I don't remember the
But they
movie
have
that
him
well.
surrounded like it's a Jurassic Park movie, and they're like all trying to bring down a big dinosaur.
Yeah.
And their tires are on
No one
fire.
ever just gets out of the car and shoots him.
Yeah.
So they all have him together, and like his car's just too powerful.
Yeah.
He manages to break out, but he totals his car. But he almost kills Michelle Rodriguez. Which makes the next scene weird when he could shoot her and then he doesn't. It's like, but you almost just killed her a scene ago.
So she gets the nuclear football and she makes a run for it, and she's like, I know you won't shoot me. And then she turns the corner, and then the beard guy from Game of Thrones is there, and he's like, I will.
And then Vin Diesel's like, you better not. So she gives him the nuclear case. And they all run off.
And then he has to go up to Charlize Theron, and he's like, hey, whoops. And she's like,
airbags don't exist in this universe.
In this universe, because again, I don't think this movie takes place on Earth.
I don't think
so.
You know,
so...
Yeah, so we noticed...
It takes place on the same planet where the sun never goes down in Twister, so...
So yeah, we noticed after all the mayhem, not one airbag went off. I'm like, why did the car companies just allow that? Don't you think they would be like, hey, we got to show how like safe our cars are. You can't have the airbag just not going off.
Because, I mean, New York was under attack by product placement that day. You know?
That's right. Oh, there's multiple shots of them going through Times Square. I've never seen a car go that fast through time. Maybe now because Times Square is pretty dead.
Yeah.
But like every time I've been in Times Square, it's a shit show. I don't know anyone who's speeding through.
No.
So everyone teams up, and they're like, all right, we figured out where they're going. They're gonna use the nukes on the submarine at this base in Russia.
Well, they're gonna use the EMP.
Yeah, so they figure out that Charlize Theron is using the EMP
to get into the base. So then she can have all the nukes, and then she can just take over the world because she'll have all the nukes. Yeah,
and the world powers will be thrown out of balance, and she'll just have all of them. And I'm just like, I think there's security. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I imagine if the nuclear launch codes were stolen, there would be some kind of security thing in place.
And it
where,
just changes the numbers.
They either change the numbers or the nukes get locked. The people in charge of the nukes get called and they say, hey, shut them down.
Yeah.
Do not let them. That's what I think.
Because there was that guy in like the 50s or 60s in Russia who they sent the thing through and they're like, hey, launch the nuclear weapons. And he was like, I don't know about that. So he didn't do it. And it turns out it was a false alarm and he basically saved the whole world.
That being said, one of our pipelines got hacked recently. So maybe it is that easy. I don't know.
I was hoping it would be everywhere so I'd have a chance to try out Heelys for the first time ever to get around. And like, there goes Newt.
So yeah, they all decide they got to go to this base in Russia, which is being used by Russian separatists.
Yes, not the Russian government.
So we don't have to be worried about World War III. We can just enjoy the mayhem.
Well, I don't know if there was World War III. I'm pretty sure that these super ninja hacker robot race car drivers could easily save the world for us, you know?
Yeah, you know, a lot of the stuff they're doing, I don't think they need it. Maybe they needed his team to get the EMP in the first place.
Yeah.
But that thing in New York, I feel like the robot cars took care of that.
Yeah.
You could have had Bearded Guy do the rest.
Yeah.
What did you need Dominic there for? He seems pretty useless at this point.
Yeah.
He seems more of a liability at this point. His wife dies.
Oh, yeah, they kill his wife.
Well, not his wife, his ex-girlfriend. Baby mama.
Baby mama. Wasn't...
Oh, and Jason Statham died.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I'm trying to remember where we are in this movie.
Guys, a lot happens in this movie
that
we had to keep track of. And again, we watched it in increments. You know what's funny? We didn't even watch the Snyder Cut in increments, but we watched this in increments.
There was a lot more for us to digest and try to rationalize.
We took one break in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
This one we took like 3 breaks. So we're like, there's a lot going on here. So yeah, Dominic shot Jason Statham.
Yes.
He's out. But we know he's not dead because I've seen the movie
Dark
after
Knight,
this.
yeah.
What, Dark Knight?
Yeah, because like remember Gordon gets shot, and then you think he's dead from the
Oh,
funeral.
right, that's what they're
and
ripping
then he
off. But I
comes
mean,
back.
I saw the sequel to this, so I know
yeah,
he's alive.
true. Okay, all right.
So yeah, he's dead. Charlize kills the baby mama to show that she's serious.
Yeah.
Because Dom pissed her off. And we go to Russia, finally.
Where they take sports cars to Russia.
Yeah, Scott Eastwood just decides, hey, take whatever car you want. And Kurt Russell's like, that's the spirit.
Yeah.
Little Nobody. That's like the name they try to give him. Little Nobody.
That's what they called me in high school. Now look at me.
Yeah. Now you're little... he's kind of somebody.
Yeah.
Not as much of a somebody as Tony.
No, not at all.
As that person,
As that
just let
call
you know.
was, yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John, for John. If you have bad news you want to break to someone, but you don't have the balls to say it yourself, call John Breaks Bad News. He'll do it for you.
So they go to Russia in sports cars.
Yeah.
And they're not dressed. They're dressed like the woman at the end of Alien vs. Predator.
They might as well be.
Yeah. While they're driving their brightly colored sports cars on ice.
No, they're not all sports cars, to be fair. The one, Ludacris is driving the tank.
Yeah.
And The Rock has those tank treads on his big truck. I'm like, at least there was an attempt to be real. But like, the other one is just a sports car. I'm like, those tires are... And you know what? In a few minutes, the movie's going to point out exactly what I said, but then it's never going to be a problem
But
again.
I bought my car because of its four-wheel drive, because how bad the winters get up here. So it was like, okay, I have more wherewithal than the cast of the Fast and the Furious 8.
Yeah. So Vin Diesel shows up.
Oh, but Vin Diesel has...
Yes.
Vin Diesel has an ice version of his regular car, like Batman and Robin have ice suits for the end of
That's
Batman
right.
and
We looked
Robin.
at it, we're like, wow, that looks like his muscle car, but like a snow It's like a toy.
Yeah.
We're like, this is the snow version of it.
So he's using his snow rocket car and the EMP to get into...
Yeah, because the base has like this big wall of spikes, and the EMP just shuts it down. Now, in my mind, the EMP would freeze all the electronics and that wall would just be stuck. But
No.
apparently it lowers the wall.
How do EMPs work?
In movies, they work where you just turn all the electricity off in an area. I don't know how
this
they work.
sent out like a shockwave.
Yeah, same thing happened in Godzilla 2014. But in real life, I think that's one of those things like movies get wrong. I read it a long time ago. I forget exactly what happens.
Yeah. Also, magnets, how do they work?
I don't know. But I do know that I do not want to ask a scientist because those motherfuckers be lying and they get me pissed. Yeah, so this... So much happens here.
Yeah.
So much happens here where our brains were breaking.
We had to keep... We're like, wait, no, how did they get... Where
is this? What's going on here?
This movie... Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever see those like things on Facebook where it's like, I made this AI watch 100 hours of Batman movies?
Yeah.
That's how these scripts are written.
Yes.
Because every time a scene gets to a point... I'd never seen these movies before. I know what the next line is going to be because it's obvious what the next line.
Yes,
they're written like a script I would write in high school.
Yeah,
you know. And
it's. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I know at one point the Rock breaks through a wall.
Yeah. Well, yes. All right. So he uses the MP to get into the thing.
Yeah.
And he sets up like a computer chip, and then
right.
They get in, and then they have to fight a bunch of guys.
Because they got to pull out the triggers for the nukes.
So they're fighting a bunch of guys, and then Michelle Rodriguez throws a guy over a balcony into a propeller, and blood squirts up. And then The Rock looks down at a man who, you know, he had hopes and dreams. He had a family.
Yeah.
Maybe he believed like his separatist movement, like he'd been so oppressed by the Russian people. That's why they did that. And The Rock just goes,
oh, nasty.
And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
She just murdered a man.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on with the triggers and stuff. And then Vin Diesel's pretty much being held prisoner by orange-haired guy.
Yeah.
And
at the same time, Charlize Theron's in a plane.
Yes. And the last thing I expected were jet people.
The Rocketeer shows up.
Not like, I guess they're technically jet packs.
Yeah.
But straight up, Jason Statham and his brother, who again I know nothing about, other than he was a bad guy who got arrested.
Yeah,
they're wearing things that make them look like little jet people.
Yeah, he's like fucking Commander Cody over here.
Yeah, and they're jet packing into the plane.
But then they jump into the thing and they throw them off and land inside.
It's like they're Falcon.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, and I'm like, we're looking at it, we're like, what the fuck is happening?
Because Johanna came and sat down with us, and we were talking. And I'm just like, wait, like, where did they come from? Was this shown earlier? Like,
no, because then the movie flashes back to tell you what happened.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, the cute buff Bruno Mars from Cuba
was the bagel truck driver.
Was the bagel truck guy? Who knows how he got into contact with him? I don't know.
And he got into the country, but we can't.
Yeah,
we need to work on our beard game. I think.
Yes. Yeah. And then Helen Mirren got Jason Statham after he was knocked out
and shot him with like adrenaline.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, they're gonna help us break your brother out of prison if we help them.
And she's like, we got to take out the devil's butthole.
Yeah, they're gonna use the devil's bunghole.
Yeah, it's like God's eye. Yeah,
and it's like you have to do this with your brother to help them for reasons. And that brother's not in Hobbs and Shaw, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all about Hobbs and his sister, but I don't even know if the brother was mentioned, which is kind of weird. Which is why when I was watching this, I'm like, oh, maybe he dies in this one. But then he doesn't. I guess he just goes right back to jail. Helen Mirren's in jail in the next one, so I guess he fucked up again.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like, he's there to rescue the baby. And Vin Diesel had this all planned out. Because Vin
Diesel's like, you know what the worst part about putting your foot on a tiger's neck is? You can never take your foot off the tiger's neck.
Yes.
And then he's like,
you lost the minute you interrupted my honeymoon.
And she's like, well, I'm gonna fucking escape. Like, I'm Charlize Theron, motherfucker.
So they're like fighting in the thing. Yeah. Everyone down there is running away. The fucking submarine launches, and there's a million rockets being shot at everyone.
Yeah.
Ludacris's car, not Ludacris, Tyrese Gibson's car, it finally starts skidding on the ice, which it should have done the whole time.
So they start fucking razzling their friend about him driving a dumb car, and I'm like, fucking Ludacris, time and place. Don't be ludicrous.
Yes.
Don't be ludicrous right now.
Yeah.
You know?
So rockets are going off. The Lambo or whatever goes underneath the water.
Yeah.
And then he comes out just holding the car door and he's sledding all of a sudden.
Yeah, and then the car door is also used to deflect bullets.
Yes.
And the super snowmobile riding guys who work for the terrorists, they're not wearing bulletproof vests
They
because he
seem
just
to be
shoots.
wearing a lot of body armor, but then they get taken out pretty quick. I don't know why. Maybe he headshot
Their
all of
army
them.
is underfunded.
Their army is underfunded. So yeah, rockets are going off. Torpedoes are going off. It's a real shit show. Jason Statham, he grabs the baby and he puts the chipmunks on, Alvin and the Chipmunks
And
for
it's
him.
like he had little baby size headphones.
Yeah, Beats
that
by
he
Dre.
brought with him. Oh, was that what it is?
was Beats
Okay,
by
that
Dre.
makes sense.
And he's taking out everyone on the plane, and then Charlize is like, bye. And then I assume she died, but she didn't.
She didn't. She just fucking jumps out of the airplane. She's like, I'll get you next time, Fast and the Furious crew.
Is she in the next one? I don't remember the trailer.
They said she's like in Greece or something at the end.
Oh, I didn't see the newest trailer with the spaceship. I've seen the previous trailer where the cars are on a bridge and they're swinging on vines.
Where's Paul Walker? I know Paul Walker's dead.
Yes,
in real life,
because I remember seeing like the scene because it was used in like music videos and stuff. He decided to get out of the life and marry Dom's sister and have like a family, and they like,
family.
Yeah, family. And he's like, I want out of this. It's like, okay, I'll see you again. And then the Wiz Khalifa song plays and they separate. So he's just off being a family man.
Wiz Khalifa. Oh no, that's Mia Khalifa, the porn star.
Don't say that. She gets very offended when you say that.
Oh, what that? You can't say she's a porn actress?
No. She only did it for a few months, and she gets mad when people bring it up.
What does she do now?
Social media stunts for attention.
Well, to be fair, so do we.
Yeah. Can't really blame her.
No, me either.
Anyway, so it's a shit show.
Yeah, and then so the Scott Eastwood pulls. Scott Eastwood was in Suicide Squad.
Yeah. And everyone's like, I wonder if he's Dick Grayson. Then he's just guy who dies.
Yeah, just guy who dies. So he pulls out a microchip, and then they're like, fire the heat-seeking missile. So they all make a drive for it.
Yes, and Vin Diesel is leading the missile to crash into, which happened in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
Remember the missile after them?
Yeah.
And yeah, he shoots the nuke with it. And then he's in a fireball, and then he gets out.
Oh, we also missed where fucking The Rock is driving a super tank on ice while also pushing a torpedo.
Oh, yeah, that's a scene that happens. The Rock leans out of his tank car, picks up a torpedo, and pushes it in the way of another car full of rockets that explode.
So someone wrote that in a script, and a major corporation went, well, obviously that has to happen, you know?
It's like they saw Fury Road, and they're like, what about that, but on ice?
Yeah.
And even dumber.
Boom.
I did enjoy that, though.
I was upset that when the thing blew up, nobody went, word. That would have been perfect for that scene.
So Vin Diesel, he's propelled from the explosion, because in movies, explosions just propel you.
Yeah.
They don't concuss you or shatter your insides.
And then he rolls rolls underneath a fireball.
He was pushed far enough away from the explosion that the explosion hasn't caught up to him yet. Science.
So then he does like fucking, remember in Batman versus Superman where Doomsday brings Bruce Wayne Batman down, and he goes like that. Vin Diesel does that too, like he's fucking Wonder Woman.
But then all the cars get in the way to block the blast.
So
I'm like, they would have been cooked inside their
So what I
cars.
wanted to do, and we can't, was I want to call a local car dealership that sells those type of cars.
Yes.
And then ask about scenarios in this movie in your buying, and you're like, well, I'm thinking about buying one, but I need to make sure that if a nuclear weapon went off and there's a fireball coming, will it protect me? You know, or like
they just hang up.
Yeah, they're like, goodbye.
Like, I've had enough of this.
They're like, oh, you saw the Fast and the Furious movies. So the Charlize Theron is gone.
You wrote in here, you wouldn't be surprised if the Abominable Snowman just showed up.
I said it to them while we were watching the movie. It's like, at this point, would you be surprised if the Abominable Snowman showed up and killed the redheaded guy from Game of Thrones?
Since it's a Universal movie, they should use the Abominable Snowmans from The Mummy 3. But still use a CGI model so they look horribly outdated.
But I was like, at this point, as soon as the New York was filled with self-driving cars, they would be like, well, clearly there's ghosts. New York is filled with ghosts, and we need 4 ladies that are spunky to come and fight those ghosts.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was like, at this point, anything could happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, we pointed out Why wasn't Vin Diesel using the EMP to stop the sub?
It can only be used twice. It's like a Batman.
It had to recharge. Maybe it wasn't recharged yet. I don't know. Is the sub... Oh, maybe the sub is nuclear powered, so it doesn't work?
And then The Rock is just not in these scenes.
Oh, yeah, The Rock is, like,
He's
not
just gone.
in a bunch of these scenes at the end. He's
like, do you know how many... I'm in as many movies as Nicolas Cage this year. I don't have time.
He doesn't have a lot of scenes with Dom. I know they don't like each other.
Yeah.
There's that famous scene that shows up on Twitter from one of the other movies where they're like, oh, they're green screen. They don't even look like they're looking at each other. But apparently... They aren't green screen, like in the context of the movie. They don't want to look at each other.
Yeah,
but apparently in real life, they don't get along.
Yeah, that's the only thing I knew about this series that those guys don't get along. You know?
Yeah.
But we went through the entire thing where Jason Statham is just murdering men with a gun while holding a baby.
Yeah.
And it made me want to see, like, because when they we have no idea how long it takes for them to have gotten from Russia to the rooftop barbecue that they have in every movie.
Yeah, they have a rooftop barbecue in New York, I guess?
Yeah. So we don't know how long Jason Statham's had the baby.
Yeah.
So since this series is so popular, I want a series where it's just Jason Statham and a baby killing people. And it's like the poster would be Jason Statham and like he's got the baby and a baby Bjorn and there's 4 guns. They each have a gun, you know?
I thought Ryan Reynolds was going to show up because he's in Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, really?
He's part of like the secret agent corporation thing, but he wasn't in this. I'm like, oh, maybe that was his introduction. Because in that movie, I'm like, oh, this is probably a very popular character in the previous films, and he's just not.
Well, they were
here.
busy. Which one was he? He did 6 Underground or Extract. A bunch of these fucking people do those like Netflix forgettable action movies.
Most movies these days on Netflix.
No, everything is forgettable. I know.
I forgot everything about Army. Oh, can we mention? So in Army of the Dead, I probably put a graphic there.
Yeah.
I don't know when this comes out.
No, after.
Okay.
Yeah.
We mentioned how one of the aliens zombies looked like a
looked
robot,
yeah.
and it was like, oh, it's just the blue thing in the brain. No, that was actually a robot apparently. And it was just to plant seeds for the spin-offs that they're planning for Army
because there
of the
might
Dead.
be like drone zombies so that the government can keep track of what's going on in there.
But I didn't know about the planting seeds for multiple spin-offs, so I was like, that was just a weird thing.
Yeah. It's like if you didn't know anything about the Flash in Batman vs. Superman and that fucking scene where he appears in the time warp, and if I was just a regular person watching the movie, I'd be like, fuck is happening?
Yeah, it'd be like if you skipped 6 Fast and the Furious movies.
What kind of asshole would do that?
What a bunch of
But
idiots.
here's the thing, after seeing this, it's so dumb that it's charming.
Yeah.
And I kind of, for the longest time, I poo-pooed these movies away. I'm like,
same.
But it's brilliant. These movies are fucking brilliant. They're not catering to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's about cars. Mm-hmm. So it caters to many different demographics in America. And
in America, and cars are universal.
Mm-hmm.
They have universal appeal.
Yeah.
Especially in countries with money.
Yes.
There's that.
But then it's a multi-racial cast that all have people from different places that are popular in those areas.
Yes. I don't remember an Asian character in this one.
No.
No.
And
but
then
usually there is like a multicultural thing.
Yeah.
So like each country has someone they like. I know Gal Gadot was in one of them.
Yeah.
There was that character Han people really like.
Yeah.
So so you have different countries who all love cars. There's someone in the movie that they can connect with. It's perfect. And the plots are a little complicated.
They are complicated, but it like they the one thing, it's like they hacked that submarine. They're like, what's that mean?
Yeah.
And then they even more monosyllabically explain it to you. And I'm like, these movies are genius.
And it's like, even if you can't follow the plot, you can enjoy the action, which is why like kung fu movies did well over here. That's why China likes the Transformers and stuff. They just like the action.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is kind of hard to follow.
Well, unlike the Transformers movies, I could actually tell what's going on in the action scenes in these.
Yes. So again, I jumped off at 2. They're still very digital, but the car stunts in this look way better. Like, I was never pulled out of the movie, even when I knew it was digital.
And it has a fucking maximum overdrive zombie car. I was like, that whole scene, I was like, this is great. Why,
Yes. And I think we're prepared for Fast and Furious 9.
I think we should do Fast and Furious 9 when it comes out.
But I still have a lot of questions.
We should go back and watch the other ones.
Should we review them all backwards, or should we do commentary tracks for all of them?
It's the Benjamin Button style. We're watching them backwards. That's great.
Just all out of continuity. So that was Fate of the Furious. Can we try to guess the sequel names? I'm gonna go through it. Let me cover this so I don't cheat.
Yeah.
The Fast and the Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Fast and Furious.
Okay.
Fast 5. This is when it gets hard. Furious 6? Was that the name of it? Let me know. Was that the name of it? Furious 6?
Fast and the Furious 6.
Ah! Furious 7. And then Fate of the Furious.
Fate of the Furious.
What's the new one called?
Fast 9?
Is it Fast 9 or Fast and Furious 9?
I don't know.
What happened to 1, 2, 3?
I don't like movies.
So that is it from us. Yeah. Enjoy the Fast and the Furious films. If you live in the
Republic of China,
get to see it early, let me know how it is. Let us know if we should see it. Where are you going?
I gotta pee.
This is multiple reviews now where I'm not done, and he just leaves to pee. This is super unprofessional, you asshole. Anyway, I was gonna say something with my co-host. We recently hit over $1,000 on Patreon. We might have mentioned this in another video, but if this is your first one watching, we are going to do a short film, which is actually one we already started, but we haven't had time or money to complete it. And thanks to you guys, we can actually finish our short film now. One of the many film projects we've been working on. So that'll be for patrons. And then eventually we'll release it to the public. We're still working out the details, but I wanted to thank everyone for becoming patrons. And don't forget about the podcast feed. We really need more people to download that, if you ever want to listen to this on the go. And, yeah, you guys are awesome, and I love you all. You're like family to me. Familia. It's weird doing it by myself at the end. It's weird. I'm going to drink more Coke.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.